August 3rd, 2025. The world wakes up to a new reality in the aviation industry, one that few could have predicted just months earlier. The global aviation industry is still reeling from a seismic shift that has sent shockwaves through airlines, manufacturers, and governments alike. Airports that once bustled with international travelers now echo with uncertainty, as the consequences of a major geopolitical standoff ripple across continents. Back in April, tensions between China and the United States reached a boiling point. In a dramatic escalation of their ongoing trade war, China announced a sweeping ban. Its airlines were prohibited from accepting any new Boeing aircraft. This single move effectively slammed shut the doors to the world's second-largest aviation market for the American aerospace giant, sending shockwaves through the industry. The ban was a direct and forceful retaliation for a new round of U.S. tariffs on Chinese goods. In response, China not only imposed its own tariffs, but also delivered a devastating blow to Boeing, freezing all new orders and halting deliveries. The message was clear. China was prepared to use its economic might to fight back, and aviation was now on the front lines. The impact was immediate and staggering. Billions of dollars in revenue vanished almost overnight. More than 140 jets, custom-built for Chinese carriers, were left stranded in limbo, parked on tarmacs, unable to be delivered and rapidly losing value. Boeing's production lines slowed, and suppliers around the world braced for a prolonged crisis. But the fallout didn't stop there. The ban also blocked the export of US-made parts and technical support, crippling the ability of Chinese airlines to maintain and operate their existing Boeing fleets. Maintenance crews scrambled for alternatives while airline executives faced mounting pressure as grounded planes threatened to disrupt travel for millions. Then, in a move that stunned the world, China unveiled the COMAC C929, a state-of-the-art wide-body jet designed to rival Boeing's Dreamliner. The launch was more than just a technological milestone. It was a bold declaration that China was ready to challenge the decades-long Boeing-Airbus duopoly. Engineers and officials celebrated, hailing the C929 as a symbol of national pride and a new era for Chinese aviation. For Boeing, this was more than a temporary setback. It was a fundamental challenge to its future as a global aviation leader, a wake-up call that the balance of power in the skies was shifting, and that the next chapter in aviation history would be written not just in Seattle or Toulouse, but in Shanghai as well. The COMAC C929 is more than a jet. It's China's declaration of technological independence. Designed to carry up to 320 passengers over 12,000 kilometers, it directly challenges Boeing's Dreamliner. Backed by the Chinese state, the C929's launch at the Zhuhai Air Show, with Air China as its first customer, instantly gave it credibility. China's acquisition of German automation tech means the C929 is built with cutting-edge European methods, bypassing US expertise. While initial models use Western engines, China is racing to develop its own, aiming for full self-reliance. For airlines, the C929 breaks the Boeing-Airbus duopoly, offering a viable third option. For Boeing, it's a clear sign. The competitive landscape has changed forever. As China's threat grew, Boeing was already in turmoil. New CEO Kelly Ortberg faced a company battered by leadership shakeups, plummeting stock, and $60 billion in debt. Massive layoffs and production slowdowns followed, as quality control failures and regulatory scrutiny mounted. Key programs like the 737 MAX and 777X were delayed, straining relationships with airline customers. The appointment of finance-focused leaders over engineers drew criticism, deepening internal rifts. Boeing was fighting a war on two fronts: external competition and internal dysfunction. The company's vulnerabilities left it dangerously exposed to China's aggressive moves. China's ban wasn't just symbolic, it was a devastating blow. Boeing lost access to its largest growth market, erasing billions from its future revenue and leaving 140 white-tailed jets unsold. The supply chain was thrown into chaos, with production bottlenecks and costly slowdowns. Boeing's reputation took a hit, fueling perceptions of decline and making it a riskier partner for global airlines. The ban on U.S. parts forced China to accelerate its domestic aerospace industry, threatening Boeing's lucrative aftermarket business. For Boeing, the Great Wall was now a barrier to both sales and influence. The company was left scrambling to find new buyers and new strategies. As Boeing faltered, Airbus seized the moment. With Boeing sidelined, Chinese airlines turned to Airbus, fueling a surge in orders and expansion of its Tianjin assembly line. Airbus deepened its ties in China, positioning itself as a local partner and solidifying dominance in the region. CEO Guillaume Faury projected confidence, announcing new deals and ramped up production, while Boeing's leadership was mired in crisis. The influx of Chinese orders gave Airbus a stable backlog and resources to invest in future technologies. Boeing's loss of China mortgaged its future, while Airbus accelerated ahead. The gap between the two giants widened, reshaping the global aerospace race. In front of the cameras, Boeing's CEO exuded confidence, assuring the world that the company would restore quality, rebuild trust, and emerge stronger than ever. He spoke of lessons learned and a renewed commitment to safety, hoping to calm investors, customers, and the flying public. The message was clear. Boeing was in control and the turbulence would soon pass. But behind closed doors, the mood was anything but calm. The boardroom was gripped by anxiety, as executives scrambled to assess the mounting financial damage, reallocate unsold jets, and model a range of worst-case scenarios. Every decision felt urgent, every conversation fraught with uncertainty. The leadership team debated how to reassure stakeholders while quietly bracing for the possibility of layoffs, production cuts, and a long road to recovery. The emergence of China's C929 jet, coupled with the sweeping China aviation ban, signaled a seismic shift in the global aerospace landscape. This wasn't just a temporary diplomatic spat, it was the beginning of a new era, where Boeing's dominance could no longer be taken for granted. The company now faced a formidable competitor, backed by a nation determined to become self-sufficient in aviation. Leadership watched nervously as China poured resources into perfecting its jets at home, drawing uncomfortable parallels to how Japan and Korea once revolutionized the global car and electronics industries. The fear was palpable. If China succeeded, it could soon launch a global assault on the commercial jet market, undercutting Boeing on price and innovation. Meanwhile, Boeing's public relations team worked overtime, crafting carefully worded press releases designed to project stability and confidence. But beneath the polished statements, the reality was stark. Boeing's century-long reign as the world's leading aircraft manufacturer was under threat as never before. The company now faced a new era, one where the old rules no longer applied. Factories sat idle, supply chains were disrupted, and financial analysts pored over turbulent charts, searching for signs of hope. The stakes had never been higher, and survival was no longer guaranteed. For Boeing's leadership, the true challenge extended far beyond managing public relations. They were tasked with charting a path through an existential crisis, one that would determine not just the company's future, but the future of American aerospace itself. The C929's success and Boeing's ban sent shockwaves through the entire aerospace ecosystem. Boeing's supply chain, thousands of companies, faced layoffs and cutbacks as orders dried up. The industry's center of gravity shifted east, with China emerging as a third power alongside the US and Europe. Aircraft procurement became a geopolitical decision, not just a business one. COMAC's rise forced Boeing and Airbus to accelerate innovation, sparking a costly technological arms race. China's push for self-sufficiency threatened Western suppliers, who now saw China as both market and rival. The global supply chain was being redrawn, with long-term consequences for all players. For decades, the skies have been dominated by just two names, Boeing and Airbus. Their fierce rivalry shaped the global aviation industry, with airlines and passengers alike reaping the benefits of their competition. But now, 2025 marks the end of the Boeing-Airbus duopoly, ushering in a dramatic shift in the balance of power. We are witnessing the rise of a new world order in aviation, one that promises both opportunity and uncertainty for everyone involved. Enter COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China. Backed by China's vast industrial resources, government support, and a rapidly growing domestic market, COMAC is now a formidable third force in the skies. This emergence is shifting the industry's center of gravity from the traditional powerhouses of the West to the dynamic economies of the East. The aviation landscape is no longer just a transatlantic affair, it's becoming truly global. For airlines, this new era brings unprecedented leverage. With three major manufacturers to choose from, carriers can negotiate better deals, demand more customization, and push for improved service and technology. However, the market may also fragment along geopolitical lines. Boeing could remain dominant in the US, Airbus in Europe, while COMAC rapidly expands its influence across China, Asia, and even into emerging markets beyond. Increased competition could mean lower ticket prices for travelers, faster innovation in aircraft design, and a wider range of choices for airlines and passengers alike. But this diversity comes at a cost. Airlines will have to manage more complex, less standardized fleets, requiring new investments in training, maintenance, and logistics. The need for specialized crews, parts, and procedures will drive up operational costs, challenging airlines to adapt quickly or risk falling behind. As airlines juggle a wider variety of aircraft, the complexity of their operations will only increase, demanding new strategies and expertise. The dream of a seamless, unified global network is giving way to a multipolar, more complicated world, one where alliances, regulations, and standards may differ from region to region. The future of flight will be shaped by this new, three-way rivalry, one that will redefine how we travel, connect, and experience the world above the clouds. Boeing's path forward is fraught with uncertainty. Locked out of China and facing a new rival, Boeing's ability to fund future innovation is in jeopardy. CEO Ortberg must restore an engineering-first culture, stabilize production, and rebuild trust with regulators and airlines. Boeing must double down on traditional markets, compete aggressively, and diversify into defense, space, and services. Innovation is critical. Boeing must prove it can still lead in technology and design. The next decade will decide whether Boeing reclaims its place as a global leader or fades into a diminished role. The fight for the skies and Boeing's survival has only just begun.